started by introducing our panel tonight. First up, we have Ken Cruz from Washington, D.C.
Hey guys, next week, opening day, and I'm calling it now. Dodgers running it back to back.
From Toronto, Ontario, Albert Sesse.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
And from down the I-5 in Seattle, Washington, Mike Hudson.
What is going on, guys? Good to be back and good to join you guys as always.
And thanks for joining me, guys. And again, before we go on, just want to remind our viewers that we are by no means experts, but rather a good group of friends expressing our own opinions and sharing the same passion for sports. Before we get into our discussions, let's catch you guys up on some recent sports news from around the globe. And let's start with some controversy in the National Hockey League. Referee Tim Peel has been banned by the league for a hot mic incident in a game on Tuesday. The now former referee, quote, will no longer be working NHL games now or in the future, end quote, after getting caught saying that he wanted to call a penalty on the Nashville Predators during their win on Tuesday. In the second period of the game, Peel made a very questionable tripping penalty call and was captured on the Nashville audio broadcast saying, "It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early." Peel has been one of the NHL's most controversial referees, with fans using social media to critique his calls over the years. He was set to retire at the end of the season. Now let's move on to some NCAA March Madness updates with Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm muted there. Sorry about that. Appreciate it, Z. So the NCAA tournament is at full force. And just like every year, there has been great games and upsets all over the board. So the biggest upset so far had to be when Oral Roberts, which was ranked number 15 in the region, defeated Ohio State in the first round, who was ranked as a number 2 seed. And Ohio State was actually one of the favorites to win the entire thing. So that was a huge upset. And also we had number 3 Texas going down to number 14 seed Abilene Christian University. Have no idea where that university is. Bonus points to you guys if you know. And so that was a huge upset as well. Actually sent the head coach Shaka Smart to head coach a brand new school right off that loss. The biggest surprise so far in the tournament has been the success of the Pac-12. So we still have 4 teams still left in the tournament. You have USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Oregon State. They're advancing to the Sweet 16, and they'll be playing in their games this coming weekend. No one knew that these teams would even make it this far, but hey, that's March Madness for you. And Gonzaga University, which is based out of Spokane, Washington, just about a 5-hour drive from where I'm at in Seattle right now. They're heavily favored to win it all, and they've looked the most impressive. I mean, they've basically blown out every team that they played so far, and they'll be playing Creighton University this coming Sunday. Back to you, Z.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Now you're caught up with some sports news that happened this week. Before we get into our discussion, we're going to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. EBC Sports International will be right back.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor time.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
In good shape. Isn't that how we'd all like to be? But how can you be truly fit? And how can you stay truly healthy right up into your golden years? And truly have fun while doing it.
In good shape.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Schulte Horvath, broadcasting live from Vancouver, BC, Canada. The NBA trade deadline was yesterday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and we saw some pretty decent trades. Some expected, some not so much. Let's start with the Magic dealing Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a 2025 first-round pick. Mike, what do you think of the trade? And does this elevate the Nuggets into the top tier of the Western Conference?
Oh, man, I'm going to give it an A++++. For Denver to be able to pull this off and not give up any significant pieces, I mean, yeah, Gary Harris is a starter, but I mean, come on, he's not really an impact player, right? And to be able to pull off Aaron Gordon, the one who's been denied so many times at the Slam Dunk Championship, but he was now finally playing with a championship contender, and I'm super excited just to see how much more he can elevate his game playing with a contender this time. So we're really going to be able to see what his game is like when all the marbles are on the table. Like you said, Jolty, Denver's currently 5th place. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys go up to the top 3, even probably 2nd in the West. First I still have the Clippers, especially with them getting Rondo, but this is exactly what Denver needs. They needed more athleticism, especially on the wings. Michael Porter Jr. is pretty athletic, but when it comes to his defense, he just cannot stay with the athletic guys. So Gordon's definitely going to be there to take some of that load off of him. But yeah, this is a really, really good move, and I definitely see this propelling Denver to the top echelon of the NBA.
All right, Ken, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is a double, triple, quadruple win for Denver. I mean, especially when you have such an amazing MVP caliber big in Nikola, passing to like a dunk, should have been at least a one-time dunk champion in Aaron Gordon. It's only good news. The only concern that I have is, yes, Gary Harris is a little bit of a shell of his former self with his hip and his leg issues that have caused him to lose a lot of his step. But he's pretty much their number one perimeter defender, and the guards in the West aren't going anywhere. Pretty much the reason why they were able to come back from 3-1 down against the Jazz was when Gary Harris came in from his injury and locked down Donovan Mitchell, and that's gone now. And yeah, Aaron Gordon is able to. I believe he's like top 10 as far as his defensive, not efficiency, but he's able to guard 1 through 4, and that's top 10. However, that's not gonna. They're gonna need him to play a big man spot, and which they do have another big man, so he might be able to play 2-3, and picking up McGee. I mean, the return of McGee, and this time he's not shacked in a pool anymore. This guy, and a lot of people don't know this, he's won 3 championships in the last 4 years. So this guy brings, the championship fortitude to a Denver team that is looking to make a long run. And if they're able to, they don't need Gordon for his offense. They need him for his defense. And my thing is, if Kyle Kuzma can learn how to play defense, which he's shown, Aaron Gordon can learn how to play defense. His role is going to be mainly a slasher and a dunker and a defender. And if he's able to do even just a little bit of that, to me, unless LeBron and AD come in extremely strong from their injuries, they're my favorite for the West right now.
Wow, from fifth all the way to favorites, awesome. Albert, what are your thoughts on this trade of Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets?
I think it was huge. I mean, like what Ken was alluding to, you have Jokic, who's already, a prime MVP candidate, and then you're adding Aaron Gordon to that mix with, Murray and Michael Porter Jr. It's like, really, again, all he has to do is defend and honestly just be in that dunker spot. And Jokic, we know his passing ability is going to be able to find Aaron Gordon in that spot, and he's just going to be able to clean up. So I really like what they did here. I really like their chances to make a solid push, if not in the top 4 for sure, to make some noise in, the second round or even the Western Finals. So I really like this move, and I think that the Nuggets are for real, and they're making a strong push for the title this year.
All right, so let's stick with the Magic. They also sent Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu to the Bulls in exchange for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks. Ken, let's start with you this time. Does this trade give the Bulls a shot to make a playoff run? Because right now they're sitting outside.
Yeah, right now, well, they're technically inside of the play-in at 10th place in 19 and 24, right? So, however, they're only, 3 games behind the 4th seed Nets who are 22 and 21, right? So with this ad, it's a huge, huge, huge upgrade. I mean, Zach LaVine even said, he's like, thanks to the guys that were on the team, but I'm looking forward to this because Nikola, who's the second best Nikola in the league, Vucci Main, this guy is an absolute stud. He has stuck through a really bad to mediocre Magic team, and now he's going to a bad to mediocre Bulls team. However, this Bulls team has Zach LaVine in it, who is scoring and playing out of his mind. As far as I don't know what it is with UCLA, but they put out these guards that have these amazing careers like Russell Westbrook, and so I am extremely impressed at how Zach LaVine was able to come back from a major leg injury and playing the way he's playing right now. Add on Vucci Main. I honestly think that this is at least a second round exit team. And once they see the Nets, the Bucks, or the 76ers in the playoffs, then I don't see them beating those guys. But if they, I feel that they can beat any of the 4 and below teams easily. Even the Celtics right now, which is, that's a whole separate conversation of how bad they're playing. But I think these Bulls are, they're gonna surprise a lot of people.
All right, Albert, they're kind of pushing up against the Raptors for that last playoff spot or even the play-in spot. What are your thoughts on this trade?
It's great. Vooch is a player who's been good on a bad team for however long he's been on the Magic. But honestly, they'll get into the play-in game or even the first round of the playoffs only to get rocked by, like what Ken said, the Nets, the Bucks, or the 76ers. So it's great. I know the importance of, getting the experience of the playoffs and for these young guys like LaVine to finally, show what he can do and to prove it on the big stage. But I don't see them moving the needle in terms of competing in terms of the second or even the first round of the playoffs. They'll get in, but they'll meet some elite teams and reach the harsh reality of the Eastern Conference.
All right, last up, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I just feel so bad for the Orlando Magic fans. It's just like, first it's Shaquille O'Neal, 92. Then you have the Tracy McGrady debacle, and you have Anthony Hardaway. You have so much great talent coming through Orlando, and time again, you got
Dwight Howard.
You just keep trading them away. I just don't get. I'll even put Darryl Armstrong in the mix. Why not? He was fun to watch. But dude, Vucevic is by far the best player on that team, and you don't want to build around him. I get it. He's what, 33 probably, 34?
30. Just 3-0. He's still in his absolute prime.
And I get it. They probably traded him because, I don't know, maybe behind closed doors he wanted to leave. I don't blame him because, I mean, when you don't surround him with help and he doesn't have that help to do it. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for Vucevic. He's with a better situation. At least he has a go-to player in Zach LaVine. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of like it's Orlando. They're not – I feel like they're not really in it to win it. They're just make money, get fans in the building, and
well, you know what the Orlando is really good at? It's cultivating bigs and trading them away. That's literally what they're so good at. I mean, we're just waiting for the day that they trade out Jonathan Isaac and Bonga, and then those guys will start as stars somewhere else. I mean, it's essentially. I don't know what it is. They draft well as far as their bigs, but then I mean. You can't blame them for having Jonathan for having these guys hurt, right? Jonathan Isaac, Markelle Fultz, Mo Bamba, like these guys, and then even Aaron Gordon. Like these guys are just continuously hurt. But at the same time, too, it's like they could have got so much better pieces. If they were going to blow it up, they should have blown it up a long time ago. I mean, they waited until the absolute last second in order for them to do literally a fire sale, and so now they're just stuck with a bunch of future picks, and everyone's trash, and it's really sad because I'm sure all of you guys feel. I mean, like Orlando is a good city, and it's like it should be a better team than what it is. It's extremely sad to see where the Orlando Magic are right now, but they might turn around just like the Knicks in a few years, where the Knicks are right now, sitting at number 5. Different story, huh, Jolty?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Hey, I'm good with it.
Take about 20 years to turn around.
I mean, not since I can remember. Let's just say that. And I'm 31. So before we move on from the Magic, though, I think we should also note that they also traded away Evan Fournier for another first-round pick and a couple players. So that's 4 first-round picks in the next few years. So. I mean, who knows where they'll be. So next up, let's talk about Albert's Raptors, who traded away Norman Powell to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. Albert, I want to get your thoughts, man. Who won this trade and why?
I don't know. I think the way I explained it to a lot of people is that Gary Trent, is almost like a Norman Powell light. He's younger, he's under contract for a little bit longer, and he's obviously going to be a little bit cheaper. So in terms of who won the trade, I really think it's sort of like a win-win. Norman Powell the past month has been absolutely guns a-blazing. I think he's 3rd in terms of three-point percentage for someone who's shooting at least 200 attempts in the past month. So I think it's a win-win. It sucks to see players that you've drafted and see them grow and develop. It sucks to see them move on to a different team, but it is a business at the end of the day. So I think it's a win-win. It sucks to see Norm go, but excited for Gary Trent.
All right, Mike, what are your thoughts?
At first, when I first saw the trade, I was shocked. I was like, Gary Trent Jr. played so well in the bubble, led the entire league in 3-point makes and 3-point percentage, plays amazing defense. But as I did more research, I have to lean to what Albert is saying, is that at the end of the day, I felt like this was a salary cap dump for the Raptors. And so they're basically getting a player that was a younger version of Norman Powell. I think Portland is definitely all in right now to win. So they're doing all that they can to add more vets to the squad. And as we know, Norman Powell definitely battle-tested, won a championship with the Raptors, so he knows how to win. So at the end of the day, I feel I'm going to have to go win-win as well, because I think that the Raptors got a little bit younger, which is what they had. They have Rodney Hood as well, who's always just been a serviceable defender and three-point shooter. And then, Blazers get someone who can play defense and hit the three as well.
All right, last up, Ken.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, it's a win-win, but if we're talking about needle movers, Norman Powell, who's been averaging almost 20 points per game this season, and as Albert said, has been killing it the last month. I think he had a 43-point game like a couple weeks ago, and a couple 30-point games in there. This guy, another UCLA grad, not grad, but another UCLA alum, just has the sauce, and he's going to a team that is full of scorers. So you have Dame Lillard averaging 30 points a game, CJ who's back, who's absolutely killing it already, in his couple games back, averaging 22 points a game. Carmelo out of nowhere, averaging 15 points a game. You have Enes Kanter, and then you have Nurkic, who's back tonight. So I mean, that starting five is an absolute dream come true for offense. And it's one of those things where, I feel like the Blazers are going to have a legit long run should everyone stay healthy now. They're scary. They're scary. I mean, you look at this lineup and you look at their points per game. Someone's going to have to give up some points, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is a solid team that's known each other and has put together very strong pieces. And Norman Powell slotted into that. That is a great add.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to say that we did say that about the Nets as well, that someone's going to have to give up the ball. And yeah, they've had injuries and Kyrie stuff, but I mean, everyone's getting their fair share over there. So who knows, it might work, right? Final question.
They're taking games off, Chelsea.
Yeah. Final question before we take a break. Ken, since we're already talking to you, let's stick with you. Who are the overall winners and losers of the trade deadline?
I mean, we mentioned it before already, right? Denver, I think, is your number one winner, but I think the number two winner has to be the Miami Heat, man. They pretty much gave up nothing. Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk for Victor Oladipo. I mean, pair that up without having to give up Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson. Yeah, and most likely they'll get LA, and they have a chance at Andre Drummond. I mean, this is a team that was already stacked, a team that knows how to win, just came off a finals appearance. I mean, Pat Riley continues to flex his GM president skills. I think that this guy knows how to put together a team, a strong team, and in which he has. And Miami is set to make a run. I think they're 6th or 7th right now. They're going to go straight up.
All right, Mike, who are the winners and losers of the trade deadline?
I'll start with the losers first. Obviously, Orlando. Shame on them for just getting rid of everybody. And then first, I'm going to have to say Miami as well. I mean, to be able to pull off, to give as little as they did to get as much as they did, especially if they get Aldridge and Drummond. Oh, them by far.
All right, Albert, same question. Winners and losers of the trade deadline.
I'm going to play off what Mike said. Even though Orlando, I do say are losers, I'm going to flip it and say they are also winners, because them tanking in a stacked draft this year is going to flip the script for them, hopefully in a couple of years. But like what everyone else said, I think Miami is a clear winner. There's a reason why Pat Riley's nicknamed the Godfather, just because, I just see him pictured behind the desk and operating and taking control of the league. So taking Victor Oladipo for basically nothing, and then having those buyout candidates come and join as well too, really puts them in the forefront of the East. And like what Ken said, I see them just going only up from here.
All right, guys, we have been talking for quite some time, so it's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. This is EBC Sports International.
According to UN.org, women stand at the front lines of the COVID-19 crisis as healthcare workers, caregivers, innovators, community organizers, and some of the most exemplary and effective national leaders in combating the pandemic. Open for Business is also joining Globe My Business to commemorate the International Women's Month as we make conversations on the role of women in advancing entrepreneurship during the pandemic.
Despite all the challenges that we encounter, we always have to stay true to what our core mission is.
It's a really good thing for women to be in businesses because it helps the economy.
Gracing our virtual studio are Ms. Tana Maharocon, Managing Director of Lala Move Philippines, and Ms. Julie Otueste, CEO and founder of Hair MNL, in this week's episode of Open for Business.
Look to NHK World Japan for news of the coronavirus outbreak across the globe. You'll find updates and insights in the specialized section of our website. Catch up with programs on your schedule through the free video on-demand service. Learn how to stay in shape and maintain your health deliciously. Ready when you are. NHK World Japan.
Passengers here are in for a ride. Taxi drivers here need nerves of steel, while passengers here can get an eyeful along the way. Rev taxis accommodate passengers all over the world. The Driver, our series. Rev.
Welcome back to EBC Sports International. Before the break, we talked about a few big trades made at the NBA trade deadline. Let's now talk about trades that didn't happen, but probably should have. Mike, let's start with you. Who were you surprised that didn't get traded yesterday?
For me, I'm going to have to say New Orleans Pelicans guard Lonzo Ball. I would say he's at the top of my list. Reason being, the rumors were going like crazy that he was going to like the Clippers or the Wizards or the Bulls, one of those teams. You had the Pelicans already talking about being comfortable with the guards that they had now with Eric Bledsoe and that guard they drafted out of Alabama. And then basically saying that he didn't really fit within their system. So it's going to be an awkward next few weeks for Pelicans, especially when he walks into the locker room knowing that he was probably going to get traded. But I believe that Lonzo Ball, that was definitely a surprise to me because I thought for sure he was going to go to at least the Clippers. I thought the Clippers would have been a really good fit for him.
All right, Ken, what about you? Who were you surprised did not get traded yesterday?
Who was a surprise that did not get traded? I wasn't necessarily hoping he'd get traded, but I think Montrez and both Schroeder, I thought were going to be bigger names out in the market, especially with Schroeder, who hasn't signed, got an extension with the Lakers yet. So I thought that he was going to be a piece, but at the same time too, like I'm very comfortable with the pieces that the Lakers have. The thing with the Lakers, I know we'll talk about like the whole LeBron thing later, but the thing with the Lakers is that they're built around those two main players. And so I think that though I was hoping that there would be a little bit more talks about those guys getting traded, I'm not as disappointed as I thought I'd be. Schroeder and Harrell, both solid adds, and I think that the fact that they didn't move, it's okay. But let me say one person that I was surprised that did move, and we didn't talk about real quick. Rondo getting traded to the Clippers was it was a surprising move in the sense that they should have picked him up from the free agency instead of giving away Lou Williams. Now Lemon Pepper Lou is where he's at. I think if there's
they wanted Rondo to get paid first, so that's why.
yeah. If there's any winner in this, it's Lemon Pepper Lou. He gets to get as many wings as he wants back in Atlanta, where he's from. So I think I was not expecting that, but I mean, that's a great ad for the Clippers, but is it enough? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right, Albert. I think we all know where you're going to go with this one, but who are you surprised didn't get traded yesterday?
Let me speak on behalf of all the Toronto Raptors fans, and I think everyone in Toronto, that 3 p.m. deadline where the whole city was holding their breath. I think it's hard because yes, Lowry is the greatest Raptor of all time. He's taken us from a mid-level team in the East to a championship, right? The fact that even in his post-game press conference, he spoke to the media for over 20 minutes, almost like he was mentally preparing himself, and he gave sort of a rundown of his career as a Raptor, almost saying goodbye to each one of the media members. So we were ready for it, and it made sense from a franchise point of view. Lowry is a free agent at the end of the year. He's 35 years old. If the Raptors wanted to do right by him, giving him a chance to get one more run at another championship, let's say like Miami Heat or the 76ers. So what I think sort of happened was Masai Ujiri almost played his hand too much, expecting a lot more for Lowry. And again, he's a 35-year-old point guard. And at the end of the day, he did say that whatever was coming back wasn't enough. So here we are with an awkward state of the Toronto Raptors with Kyle Lowry finishing up with 20-plus more games as a Raptor. And who knows in the offseason. I highly doubt he's going to sign as a Raptor. Maybe a sign and trade, but he was definitely the biggest name that I think everyone was expecting him to move, but nothing happened.
All right, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking it must have been pretty awkward him, showing up to practice or the game or whatever today after. Yeah, I mean, after last game, he throws up the peace sign to the camera. It's super.
You know what caused the guy that caused him to stay? Drake.
He did FaceTime him after as well too. I don't know if you guys saw that. He FaceTimed him during the press conference.
It's going to make the team stronger, guys. It's just going to make the team stronger.
Drake was the reason why Kyle Lowry is still a Tampa Bay Raptor. But on a side note, real quick, what's up with Siakam and Nurse? Is that squashed yet, or what's going on here? I thought he was going to be on the trading block because of all this, or Nurse getting it cut off or something. But that's a weird time over the Raptors.
Yeah, it's not a happy place in Raptorland right now for sure.
All right. Good stuff. Let's stick with the NBA, though, and some injury news. It has been reported that LeBron James, the GOAT, LeBron James, could miss 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. And with Anthony Davis already out with a calf injury, what does this mean for the Lakers going forward, at least for the next few weeks? Albert, what are your thoughts?
It's tough. Like you always want to say never underestimate the heart of a champion. You know what LeBron James can do, but age is you can never beat it, right? With both AD and LeBron out and given their timetables, it gives them like a month to sort of gel and hopefully get everything together. It's going to be an uphill challenge for them, but LeBron is LeBron, and you can never doubt one of the greatest players of all time. So I fully expect him to muster whatever strength that he has to be able to give a solid playoff run with AD, even if it is hobbling on one ankle and doing the best he can with the roster. So yes, it's going to be tough, but I see them still competing hard and making a run for a back-to-back championship.
All right, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to refer to LeBron as the baby goat since MJ is the goat in my book. He's fine. LeBron is fine. He's just taking a few weeks off, just resting a little bit, just to get his legs underneath him before I'm just kidding. No, I think that injury was pretty gruesome. It could have been way worse than what it was. I think if Solomon Hill didn't pull back, it definitely would have been ACL, no question. No doubt in my mind. But luckily it was just a high ankle sprain. But yeah, Lakers are in trouble. I mean, there's no sugar-coating it, especially with AD out as well. They played pretty decent the other night against the 76ers, only lost by 8. But, as being in the Western Conference, it is going to be extremely difficult for them to get back. I wouldn't be surprised if they made the play-in game or even was knocked out of the playoff contention by the time LeBron and AD get back. It's just unfortunate that they're in the West. If they're in the East, they would probably have a good chance to still make the playoffs. But now it's very, very shaky.
All right, and last but not least, the resident Laker fan, Ken. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So I put out a couple scenarios here, right? So 4 to 6 weeks. So or LeBron being out, which means coming back as early as April 17th or as late as May 1st, right? So right now they're 0-4 since LeBron went out last Saturday. Well, obviously without Anthony Davis and Marc Gasol was on COVID protocol at the time. So now, from now until the 17th of April, they'll go against Bucks, Clippers, Raptors, Heat, Nets, Knicks, Celtics, Jazz. Those are all playoff ready. Playoff. These guys are going to make deep runs in playoffs, right? So, and the team that they should beat, and potentially, so those are the teams they'll probably lose to without AD and without LeBron. The team they should beat: Cavs, Magic, Kings, Hornets, which would leave them at a 4-12 record within that time span. If he comes back within 6 weeks, you have Jazz, Mavs twice, and then Raptors, and they should win against the Magic, Wizards, Kings, which leaves them an overall record without LeBron for 6 weeks, 7-16. So they're currently 6 games ahead of the 10th place Warriors and 1.5 games ahead of the 5th, 6th place Nuggets and Blazers. AD's back in 2 weeks, which will definitely help, but for sure he's going to be on a minutes restriction for, I don't know, another 2 to 3 weeks, right? So, I feel like this can definitely be an avalanche for the Lakers. Should the current lineup without AD and LeBron not find some sort of solution. However, Drummond and LaMarcus Aldridge are plays that the Lakers are looking to make right now. And if they add either one of those guys, I think that'll at least boost them a couple games in. All they got to do is just Band-Aid and strap up and at least make the 10th place, which I think they can. Because if you make the 10th place, you have a play-in game, and then it's like March Madness. You win one game and you're in the playoffs. And I'm sure the Utah Jazz will not be very happy if they are first place for the first time since, Karl Malone days, and they have to go against the 8th-seeded Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, what I'll say with that, though, is like if they do come back, they're missing, 20, 30 games at the most. I mean, you know how much rust they're going to have to shake off in that time. So, yeah, I mean, it will be exciting. I think it would be cool to see how they play if they do get in that play-in game, just to see, because we saw in the bubble how much people elevated the games at that level, right?
Yep.
So it'd be pretty cool to see, what they're capable of. But as far as making a long run in the playoffs, it's going to be tough. I mean, just coming back from those serious of injuries. I mean, anything can happen.
But then I think best case scenario is what you alluded to earlier, is that if they're just literally resting, specifically in LeBron's case, if they're literally, if he's just like resting, with the amount of mileage that he's had, this might be a blessing in disguise and what it does for the team if they somehow come together. Guys like THT, Dennis Schroeder, Harrell, and Kuzma, if those guys are able to like start getting their scoring, and if Wes Matthews learns how to hit a 1-3 out of like 9 shots instead of 0 out of 20, I mean, you know, I feel like this team can actually come together and be stronger than if, let's say, they played a healthy season and AD and LeBron come into the playoffs hurt and tired.
So let me ask you, what are the chances, whatever number you can think of, what are the chances that the Lakers miss the playoffs because of these injuries?
I'd say 10%. That's as high as I'll go.
Pretty high. That's still pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is that you just don't know. Like, I mean, like, there's not much said about AD right now, though it says he's coming in 2 weeks, and you don't know how much of a minutes restriction he's going to have. I know for a fact LeBron's going to be back, but the thing is, like, what if he comes back and gets hurt again, kind of like a la KD, and same thing with AD, right? So that's what is the 10%. You have to give that up to injuries, but I think, you know, the Lakers are literally coming off a championship, you know, and I think that if you have championship blood in you, you're not going to let yourself slip out of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, that 2-week timetable for AD, I think that's, you know, based on a lot of things, and it can definitely change, because that's, you know, very optimistic in my opinion. Anyway, it's break time. We've been talking for too long. Stick around. We have much more after this. You're watching Sports.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Broadcast journalist Wayne De La Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita alas 7 ng umaga mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DZEC 1062. Kasama si Wayne De La Fuente sa Balitalakayan.
Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Kickoff.
This much is certain. Something is coming. The fact check for the kickoff of the Bundesliga. Who are the favorites? Who should be nervous? And where might surprises be lurking? We dare to look ahead to the new season.
Kickoff.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. Let's quickly make a stop in the NFL, where the San Francisco 49ers made a pretty big trade today. The Niners trade their next 3 first-round picks to the Dolphins for this year's number 3 overall pick. And I want to know, if you were the Niners GM John Lynch, who are you valuing that high, and who are you drafting? Mike, let's start with you.
Very good question, Zolti. You're gonna have to go with Justin Fields. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you see the system that the 49ers have in place, which is very hard for me to talk about, by the way, because they're in mine and Albert's division. But at the end of the day, the 49ers do not. Ken too. Forgot about that. Boo Rams. But anyways, at the end of the day, the 49ers and Shanahan's tenure as head coach has never had a quarterback that is as immensely talented as Justin Fields. I mean, yeah, Jimmy G, he's all right, but I mean, he cannot stay healthy. He just cannot stay healthy these past 2 or 3 years he's been there. He's also had Berthard, and he had a couple other guys that just did not pan out. So Justin Fields, I feel like, is the safest bet. I mean, he already plays in a pro-style system. His play speaks for itself. I mean, he played extremely well in the college football playoffs. I just feel like this is going to be the safest bet for the 49ers to go forward with.
All right, Ken, like you said, they're in your division as well. Who are you taking if you're John Lynch?
Nobody, so that the Rams can. No, so like kind of left field choice, but I would say Trey Lance from North Dakota State. I mean, this kid has an NFL body. If you've ever seen one, 6'4", 225, athletic, strong, perfect for a Kyle Shanahan offense because that's Shanahan loves score, freeing up his athletic guys, and this guy's a dual threat, right? And so, the cons is that he doesn't have a lot of experience. The kid's going to be 20 by the time of the draft, and I think he's only thrown 300 pass attempts under his belt, which is tough. A lot of it had to do with the fact that last season North Dakota State postponed their football season. So that's not his fault. And what's tough about this upcoming class, no matter who you are, unless you're Clemson QB, you just don't know the quality of player that you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to have these pro days of these QBs throw into receivers with no pads on. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of risks taken, including throwing a lot of your future picks to get a number 3 when you do have Jimmy G. But at the same time, as Mike said, that kid can't stay on the field. So I think this is a wise choice to trade up, but at the same time too, there's a big risk for this draft class.
Absolutely, and especially giving away 3 first-round draft picks just to move up. I think it was they moved up 6 spots or 8 spots or something like that.
Yeah.
That's for me that's too much. But I mean, to each their own.
It's almost like what the Rams did to get Goff, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Look how that turned out. I mean.
All right, let's move on. It is time for our infamous question of the show. So there are some amazing sports teams names. For instance, the Montgomery Biscuits, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, and of course, the UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. So I want to know, if you could start your own sports team, what would you call it? Ken, let's start with you.
Yeah, so my name is Ken Cruz, and I would go with just say Maryland Battle Cruisers, but instead of CRUISE, it will be CRUZER. And the actual mascot will be, if you guys have ever played StarCraft before, it'll be the Terran Battle Cruiser, and it'll be like a huge just battleship.
All right, Albert, what about you?
Well, we already have the Maple Leafs, and nothing else makes Canadians more proud than maple syrup. So I would rename a Toronto team the Toronto Maple Syrups.
The Maple Syrup A's.
You could always start like a competitive eating team or something. That would make the most sense, right?
We would also sell it in the arenas as well too.
Okay, team branded maple syrup. Mike, what about you?
I'm assuming money's not an option, or a money that it doesn't matter what the cost is. So I'm gonna go Seattle Avengers, and so I would buy the licensing from Marvel to basically get all the superheroes that come out before every game. The Smoke would come out, Black Panther would come out, do a little backflip. Thor would come out with his hammer. the entire Avengers would come out and let's rock and roll, baby.
You know what? I mean, living so close to Seattle, I mean, I know you live in Seattle, but I honestly think I'd be down for every game for that. That'd be pretty sick. I don't even care what sport it is, you know, make it, I don't care. Cricket, I'm there.
Indoor soccer.
Indoor soccer, 3-on-3. For myself, I mean, as you know, everyone knows I'm a huge Vikings fan. And in the 70s, their D line was called the Purple People Eaters. And that's always stuck with me. So I don't care what city it would be, but we would be the Purple People Eaters with the bright purple Minnesota Vikings jerseys. Indoor soccer as well. We'd play against the Seattle Avengers.
Yep. Yeah. Inaugural.
Yeah, that's right. All right. That is all the time we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Jolty Horvath. We live in interesting times.
It is now time to build confidence. Obviously, we reached a stage wherein the situation has affected all aspects of life. We are overwhelmed by the flood of information all around. This has in effect created a sense of uncertainty and put all of us in a vulnerable position. But we must not allow COVID to take away the very way of life of our citizens, nor take away the hope from us that we will overcome this together. There is no such thing as too much caution or too much preparation, and therefore we must be fully prepared. For all of us, the global COVID crisis revealed three fundamental issues that are common challenges. We ask ourselves, how will we be better prepared, provide stronger frontline support? How do we build more robust coordination in all fronts? How do we keep our guard up in the months ahead and balance life in the new normal? And on sufficiency, how do we adjust ourselves to live without the overindulgence of the pre-COVID world? And there are underlying challenges of producing a vaccine, of boosting the post-COVID economy in the long term towards a future of global sustainability. Fighting COVID is now a global social responsibility, not only as citizens of your own countries, but as citizens of the world. It takes leadership and sacrifice and discipline from all of us. It is often said that in times of crisis, the true character of a person is revealed. We will together show the world our character. Have faith in each other, and wherever you call home, let's re-emerge stronger and better. We've learned many lessons, and next time around, we hope to improve and take crisis communication to a whole new level. This is all I have for the English language summary of the daily press briefing for today. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a very pleasant afternoon. Please keep tab of the news and the announcement over the weekend. So hope for your full cooperation until then and beyond. So thank you very much. Sawasdee krap.
Tawagin na natin ang pinakagwapo, napakagwapo, ladies and gentlemen. Let us all welcome Victor Wood!
Nagustuhan nila Derek at Sir Orly yung performance nyo. Kaya sa next episode, mag-partner na kayo.
Record ka ang sarili mong album. Wala. Hindi papatok, hindi yung style.
Payagan nyo lang ako mag-record uli.
I'm sorry, my love, if I've broken your heart.
Si Arceli nga po pala, fiancé ko.
Hindi ka naman dapat kabahan eh.
forgive me.
Kapag nakapag-ipon ako, papakasal na tayo.
Ihanda nyo na yung kontrata schedules. Ilalabas na natin to sa buong Pilipinas.
Let me kiss and hold you tight.
Kalahati lang ng TF ni Rico at ni Ray yung TF ko eh.
Kung sino ang mas sikat, yun ang mas may malaking talent fee.
Eh kung kasikatan lang ang pag-uusapan, masikat naman ako sa mga yan.
Noon yun, Victor. Pero hindi mo inalagaan.
Kaya kong bumangon kahit wala ka.
My